Hello family, how's everybody doing? I have a message for you guys this weekend. Today is Saturday. It's around 5:19 Eastern time. And while you guys are out having a good time, enjoying your families, you know, going to the beach, going to the mall, hanging out with your bros, hanging out with your sisters, you know, taking a drink, taking a smoke. I want you to know that some of us aren't alive. Some of us aren't breathing. Some of us have been murdered by the police. Some of our brothers and sisters and our children have been murdered by the police. So they're not able to have a good Saturday, a good weekend, drink or smoke. Some of us aren't here to do that. So, you know, these are some people that I don't want y'all to forget. George Floyd. He allegedly tried to use a counterfeit $20 bill. He ended up dead behind it. Breonna Taylor, who's 26, she was asleep at home when she was murdered by the police. Atiana Jefferson, who was 28, was murdered at home. These are people murdered by the police, black people. Orwell Rosser was 40, was murdered at home. Stephon Clark, who was 22, he was murdered while standing in his grandmother's backyard. Botham Jean, who was 26, he was seated on his sofa at home eating ice cream when he was murdered. Nowadays, we don't even have to leave our homes. They'll come to us and murder us. We don't even have to leave our doors. Philandro Castile was 32. He was pulled over for a traffic stop and he was murdered. Alton Sterling, who was 37, was murdered while selling CDs and DVDs. Michelle Kasu, I guess that's how you pronounce her last name. She was 50. She was at home and she was murdered by the police. Freddie Gray was 25. He was murdered while he was in the back of a police van. Janisha Farnville, who was 20, was murdered at home in the comforts of her own home by the police. Eric Gardner was 43, and he was allegedly selling loose cigarettes when he was murdered. Akai Gurley was 28, walking down the stairs in the building where he lived, and he was shot and killed by the police. Gabriela Navarez was 22, and she was shot while driving. Tamir Rice, the baby, was 12. He was murdered while playing with a toy gun in the park. Michael Brown was only 18, was walking with a friend when he was murdered. Tanisha Anderson was 37. Her family called 911 for help because Tanisha was bipolar. She was restless and was trying to leave the house. The police came and shot her. These are just a few of blacks in America murdered by the police. There are many, many more, but I don't have enough time. And it will continue. All these murders will continue until we fight that. In most cases, little or no action was taken against the officers who murdered these beautiful sisters and brothers. The monsters that murdered us are very well protected. My question to y'all are, what the fuck are y'all gonna do? This is a modern day lynching. These violent deaths not only says a lot about America, it also says a lot about us. We stand around and watch each other be murdered, and we support it. I no longer blame the murderers. I'm blaming the Negroes that sit on their asses and do nothing about it. Racial bias against defendants of color and in favor of white victims has a strong effect on who is capitally prosecuted, sentenced to death, and executed. The criminal justice system isn't set up for black folks. Why would it? The criminal justice system isn't set up to help us. It's designed to lock our black asses up. Massa is building these prisons for their own. You think Massa is building these prisons for their own people? Hell no. They're building these prisons for our black asses. Do I even have to tell you that? I mean, do I even have to say that? Well, I guess so, because you people are still carrying on about a damn dream. Wake the fuck up. In this world of hate and lies, I will continue promoting the black truth, while our black men continue to bury their face in the sand. Someone has to enlighten our race. Someone has to speak to the inner soldiers of some of our warriors. I'm not going to go along just to get along. Shit has to be said, because my people are facing genocide. So I do not have time to pacify grown-ass men. And I'm not going to apologize to Massa for speaking the truth. You don't want to hear it? Go to another page.